So yeah, first of all, I wanted to ask. It might be really basic, but again, for many people, that's not granted. When when did you start your career as a tattooer? And but what I want to know is that if there was something specifically that clicked into your mind, something or someone that made you realize, oh fuck, I want to be a tattooer. I want to be part of this world. You know, and if there was, what was it?
Um, well, it started when I was pretty young. Like I got into tattooing like 2003, 2004. I had an apprenticeship, but I liked tattoos, and I at the time when I was like maybe 13, 14, there wasn't that many people. I didn't know anybody with a tattoo really. I just I heard that my grandpa had some, and
Oh yeah.
we only met when I was a baby, like on my grandpa on my dad's side, had some tattoos from the past, from the wars and stuff. But
Traditional, of course.
he had a cobra and he had a rose.
Okay.
Um, but so my dad took me to like a motorcycle. It was an Easy Riders convention, and but it
Wow.
had motorcycles and tattoos. And so he had a motorcycle that he painted that was in the show on display. And then so he took the
Your
whole
father
family.
painted the motorcycle?
Yeah, so my dad used to paint motorcycles.
Oh wow. Okay.
He painted cars, and then he got into motorcycles, and then he kind of did both for a while. And so that was like kind of the introduction just to a tattoo convention.
Okay.
Um, and I was like 14 years old, I think, and so I really wanted a tattoo. I wanted this like silly fish bones tattoo. And they like my parents were like, "Fuck no, you can't have a tattoo." But
Oh,
I had
so
already had some like homemade ones on my legs. Like I had like some stick and pokes and
you
some
did
things
to
like that.
yourself? I mean, you
Yeah,
tattooed yourself.
yeah. Like me and my friends were like, skateboarders. We are doing weird stuff. Like putting cigarettes out on our tongues and like like
But
burning ourselves with lighters and dumb shit like that. But yeah, so
you see,
we sometimes we would cut ourselves with a knife and then try and smear like ink from a pen into our leg or something like that. And it
okay.
like wasn't didn't stay very well. The stick
No,
and pokes
no.
were better. Yeah, it wasn't like we didn't know what we were doing. But so that's kind of like the first tattooing stuff that I you know saw and was a part of, and then I had some drawings I got together, and I went to Haight Street in San Francisco. And Haight Street's like it was like the old hippie place. It's a big tourist, so they had like the March of the Hippie back in the day. A lot of like psychedelic awakening happened right there. Like the Summer of Love was like big in San Francisco at the time. That's what San Francisco was known for. People were hitchhiking to San Francisco from all over the country to experience this kind of thing. But so it has a lot of like shops that sell pipes and there's tattoos and weird clothing and kind of just funky shops. And so that's the only place I really knew that had tattoo shops. And so I got some drawings together when I was like maybe 18 and went to some
Okay.
shops, and everyone was like, "Get the fuck out of here, kid." There's like
Really?
there's the door. And so it was like I was like, okay, well, clearly it's like harder to do this than I would have thought. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. And so I kind of just put that aside for a little bit. And I moved down to San Diego. I had been helping my dad paint motorcycles, like working, like sanding down the motorcycle tanks, and I got to do some cool paint jobs. I got to do some flames and some other stuff. But
I think I've seen a picture
um,
in the book.
oh yeah, yeah, it's one of I painted a Ducati.
Yeah.
Um, but so I went down to San Diego just to kind of get out of the Bay Area where I grew up, and I was just skateboarding and trying to like figure out what the hell I was gonna do with my life. And then my buddy was always like, "Oh, you can draw, like you should tattoo." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's like you have to like know somebody to." I was like, "I don't know anybody." But he was getting tattooed by this really cool guy, Sean, and they spent a lot of time together. They became friends, and so I eventually started hanging out with them. And he was older. He was like a biker, and I mean, like a decade older than me. But uh, so back then, when I was in my early 20s, anyone that was in their 30s just seemed a lot older. But but
Mm.
so eventually, I hung out long enough, and
Start to
we
work.
yeah, he was like, okay, like they had already had an apprentice, and so they like, so we don't need anybody else. But eventually, he gave me a shot. He's like, here, clean, get to work tomorrow, clean the shop, and like
So
we'll consider it.
you had a proper old school apprenticeship, yeah?
Yeah, but there wasn't that much like supervision. It's like I'd clean tubes and like I cleaned the shop, and I got everybody food, and I got them what they needed, armrests, and I'd set up a little bit, but it was still different. Like they kind of set up stuff themselves in a way that because I didn't know what I was doing for a while.
Yeah.
Um, and then until they trusted me more, then I could like set up more stuff. But a lot of it was like greeting customers, scrubbing tubes, and then just working on drawings. But that shop was like there was a lot of problems with biker stuff at the time, and so
Yeah.
the landlord wouldn't renew the lease, and so it I ended up going with my mentor to try and find some new places, and then he ended up moving to LA, so I got permission. That was like a thing, I had to get permission to go to another shop in San Diego,
Oh, wow.
and that's where I worked at Funhouse for a little while. Seth Reynolds owns Funhouses. There was a few locations, and then so I worked in the shop in Mission Beach in San Diego. But so there it was like, yeah, I kind of continued the rest of my apprenticeship, and those guys there, they taught me how to make needles, and um, uh, this guy Mike Prowler helped me put together a national machine kit. And so it was my first experience with like machines, and kind of like taking them apart and putting them back together.
Okay.
Uh,
Do
but
you do you think that kind of apprenticeship with sometimes nowadays gets criticized by a new generation, new school of tattooing, had played a big part of your career and helped you in some ways? And if yes, how?
Um, well, I think what it is it was difficult to get into the industry, and it's like it's a responsibility to teach somebody, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, how much, like, if you truly care about what you're doing and you want to teach someone in the right way, or just in a way that uh that when you're teaching that they'll become good, it takes a lot of time and out of your day, and time is important, and so um people wanted to make sure that you were worth teaching. If you hung around the shop long enough, if you got tattooed, if you weren't annoying to the people, but also were persistent on being there, you'd kind of be welcomed in. And I think that just the younger generation of everybody is just more impatient. It starts, I think, a lot of it with the internet, where you can just take music off the internet, right? You're like, I don't want to go to the store and buy it, I can just download it. I want the answer to this question, I need it immediately. So like the anything that was from the past was harder to it was harder to get information anyways. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, you'd go to the library and you'd have to go look through these key cards, and then you go find the book. And now you can just ask the internet really simply, so there's an immediate thing that you can get that when you need it or when you want it. And so I think a lot of people are like, I want to do this,
No,
and I don't care how I get there, and some people do care how they get there, and so I think that it's just an impatience thing. They want to be um, somewhere before it's time sometimes, and also it's the information is out there, and it's really easy to learn now. It's really easy to get good fast now. I think every generation got better faster.
yeah. So yeah, now we definitely we got spoiled on getting whatever we want right now here, and
Yeah.
as possible, and then we get a little bit like grumpy if we don't get it. Fair enough. Yeah, it was definitely was different. Well, where how old are you, Paul?
44.
44. Okay, so you too, you had to watch tattooers and tattoos and magazines and stuff because you were there was no internet at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean there was internet, but like the first shops that I worked at didn't have computers. It wasn't a thing. Like not everyone had a website. I remember like when I first started seeing tattoo websites, because magazines. We get a magazine, or Wendy Belzell she'd come by and bring books and sell books and magazines to the shop, and so those were some of the first like publications and magazines. Like Tattoo Artist magazine
Yeah,
was one that I would read a lot, and because the information, you get an interview with like Philip Liu or Mike Malone or Horitomo, and there was like just this it was amazing to be able to like to read about those artists and see work that was really good quality. Tattoo magazines at first, they kind of just had anything, and I think as it got more and more popular, they had to really kind of weed through and get better quality tattoos.
yeah. Um, I have this one here. You know.
But yeah, the My Traditional Vision by
Yeah,
Mickey.
uh, yeah. That's why I'm curious because it's called My Traditional Vision. Okay, so um, in words, like how would you describe the traditional American, the traditional style? What is for you, and what do you think that it makes it so different from all other styles of tattooing, and how you developed your own style within the traditional tattoos? What inspires you, and so on.
Um, well, I think a traditional tattoo can be some different things. Like I really like the classic look of tattoos, where it's just the imagery is really beautiful. Like lots of pretty women, roses, skulls. There's this like death and beauty. It's a constant thing in our lives. And so a traditional tattoo can be a lot of things though. It could be any subject matter that's tattooed in a kind of classic way where it's bold or black, or sometimes it doesn't have to be bold. Like Stitzo's work is like very delicate and fine but traditional as well.
Yeah,
So you have like there's different there's different ways you can do it, but I think it's real based on classic designs, and and that's what I like about traditional tattoos. Where people were looking for inspiration and reference was in like the 20s where it's like the flapper girls, and the 30s when it's like jazz age, and all these different people like maybe couldn't draw as well, so there's some folkiness to it.
yeah,
Like when people don't have like very serious instruction, they do what they can, and so it kind of becomes more folk art. And so some of like the wonkiness and some of like the characteristics of that time, I think make it really beautiful. And you can look back on a tattoo that was done a long time ago that's traditional, and it still looks nice. It's still cool. There's like a lot of trends that happen, and sometimes you're like, oh, it doesn't. Not only did the tattoo not hold up, but it doesn't. It's not cool. Like a lot of like 90s stuff is kind of coming back, but there's a lot of like chromed out stuff that's like, kind of like it's trendy again because it's nostalgic, you know, and it's done in a cool way, so people are like liking it again. But like a snarling skull with teeth and like chrome and everything like that, like, what, you might look at it 10 years down the road and be like, well, like maybe just a simple skull would have been real cool. It looks tough, you know? It doesn't need to be like glowing and purple and stuff, but that's just to me, like, that's just what I prefer. I prefer less colors. It makes it look less cartoony. I prefer black because it ages the best. And so it's traditional tattoos are something that will look good forever.
Exactly. So yeah, that's is there is there anyone or anything where you get your inspiration from, or you feed your creativity on a daily basis, or it just comes within your mind, like?
Well, there's always there's always stuff that I look at. Um, I'm really inspired by traveling and getting to see other cities, other artists, um, like anything from museums to just working with other talented people.
Yeah.
I love looking at like old vintage postcards and art and like you know I don't know, stuff from Vargas and like Henry Clive, and they made like women so beautiful, so well done, and you can see where a lot of the inspiration for like girl heads come from in this modern time. But just yeah, just going to conventions and working around a bunch of talented people, and so I get ideas and I just write them down or I put them in my phone and
Oh yeah.
ideas for Flash or just ideas for projects and but just I just keep on writing it down and keep on keep on going, keep on traveling. I keep on seeing things, keep on going to museums, I keep on going to art shows, and so you get to be around all these amazing talented people, amazing historic places, and a lot of inspiration comes from that.
All right. Yeah. um I wanted to ask another thing, which obviously was not prepared, but like, uh, for me and for a lot of people I speak with, obviously you have a big influence all around the world with all your work. Like all the paintings and all the flesh sheets and everything. I mean, I can literally. I mean, I can't count the shop that I've been in, and they're full of like your stuff hanging on the wall. Do
Thank
you
you. Yeah, thank you.
uh, do you feel the pressure of this, like, and the responsibility of like keeping it up with you know I mean, first of all, do you feel like what I'm just giving to you now, what I just said, do you feel it yourself? And if yes, do you think it plays a role into how you do stuff and how you keep tattooing and painting and doing projects and stuff? I don't know if it's clear, the question.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and yeah, I mean, I do see it, and I I really appreciate it too. And sometimes it makes me like feel a little crazy, like I'm like, oh my god, sometimes if I walk into a shop and there's my art there, I feel a little embarrassed.
Really?
Um, just like I mean, embarrassed but proud at the same time.
Yeah.
Just kind of like I don't. Sometimes it feels funny, I guess, but I really I appreciate that, and I love making art and I love painting, and so it comes really naturally for me to do as a hobby, and it makes me feel even better that people enjoy it so much, and so I constantly feel like I can do better and I can do more, and I feel like it's a waste of my like life if I don't keep making stuff. And I think that's what I'm here for, to just keep making art. Um, and it makes me happy. It makes other people happy. People enjoy getting it tattooed, and that's amazing to have people be excited about art that I do that anyone could tattoo. And so it just keeps pushing me forward to make new things, to make more books, more flash, more tattoo paintings, and I have ideas for a lot of other new things too. But I at this point it's like I can't. I have to make sure that what is out there is good and gets better, and that's really important to me. Instead of just becoming complacent and lazy and like so I think it helps keep me motivated because I want the quality to always be good. And that's something my dad always taught me, was that we would work on motorcycles together, and some people would want a cheaper deal, so they would go somewhere else, and then they'd come back and they'd have this shitty paint job, and we'd have to sand it down. It was way more work to do because now there's like you have to strip all the paint off, and it was a pain in the ass, and so it cost even more. And so
Yeah.
the quality of something really matters, and people come from all over to get tattooed, and I feel like they deserve the best quality that I can do for them. And also the paintings in the flash, I feel like I want it to be, the best that I can make it.
How would you define quality in a traditional, like let's say like a flesh, okay, tattooed on skin? How would you define, like what are like three, four simple things that must be there, or that you look at when you look at traditional tattoo? In your
Um, well, like the design has to be like a good design. That's not confusing to look at.
okay,
Um, that's like that's easy to read. Well, there's not a bunch of stuff, making it look where you can't understand what's happening in the tattoo. That's why the simplicity of the traditional tattoo is so good, because I guess an example would be like, if you were to tattoo an eagle, uh, and you didn't know how to draw the claws very well. And so the claws looked confusing or kind of shitty, but the rest of everything looked okay. You just shaded the wings nice and this and that. But then you get to see the claws, and the claws just don't, they're like, it's like you didn't pay attention to those details. So if you're going to paint flash, you want it to be like, for someone else to tattoo, you want it to be reliable so that they can make a good tattoo on somebody. Um, or like a face, if it's traditional, sometimes it can be a little wonky, but to make it look nice, so that it's pleasant for everybody. Um, like certain types of shading, to make it look complete, where things, you know, um, yeah, I think it doesn't always have to be like clean and perfect either. It's like everyone paints a little differently, but I think that it helps to have like a clean, legible lines, and and like a nice shading so that someone's not confused the way it's supposed to look.
okay, um, right, yeah. Because I asked this question because I would like to understand myself and all the people they know anything about literally tattooing and traditional tattoos to understand a bit more. With the, like you're explaining really well. Um, Question, like, see technology and stuff into tattooing gets affected in 360 degrees, like internet, media, the way you put your work out there, the way you
Yeah.
paint, the way you tattoo as well. Um, what's your relationship with technology within tattooing? Like, terms of in terms of tools, and for that I mean machines, needles, colors, uh, anything like phones. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like before you had to take a picture with a camera, now you can snap it from your phone. Pens, cartridges, and stuff. What's your relationship with all that?
Well, I think it's good to be open-minded about technology, because it's like it's here. It's not. It keeps on coming. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess the first technology was really, it was like, you know, having a website, and then, like on a computer, and then now Instagram. I didn't have a smartphone when Instagram came out, so I was I just was like, everything was like, it was like MySpace, then Facebook, then Instagram, and I was like, well, I just need to probably be on these platforms. And so I went to the Apple store and was like, I need Instagram. And then They're like,
That's
it's
me,
it's
Paul.
an app on your phone. And I pulled out my phone and they're like, oh no, that's not a smartphone. And I was like, oh, I got this. So like, yeah, I was like, okay, well, if I get an iPhone, will you help me get Instagram? And he's like, yes. What is your deal with Instagram? And I was like, well, it was kind of stupid, because I was like in my 30s and I'm like, well, all my friends have it, right? But it was like I could see it becoming so popular. It was like, everyone was looking at photos, people were finding tattooers, and I knew that it was going to be something that was big, and it is, and it I think at the time when I got it, people were looking for tattooers that they liked. And when I was at Spider Murphy's, we had just, we had done 2 books, and I had done a solo book, and so there was like, people were looking for tattooers, and I think that's why the following built up pretty fast. Um, and now it's kind of like a hard thing to keep up with. It's like annoying to have to do. And now Instagram has you like, it says like unlock these challenges or do this or more reels or more that. And you see everyone kind of conform to it. They're like, oh, they're writing more, they're hashtagging more, they're making more reels, they're trying to keep up with this thing because the exposure is not the same as it used to be. The promotion's not the same as it used to be. Um, and so like I do what I can. Some weeks I post more than others, and people and seem to still watch it sometimes. It's not as like it's not as crazy. It's like there's so many new types of things on the internet, on Instagram, on TikTok, all that stuff that is capturing people's attention. So it did wonders for tattooing. I think for a long time, people were really busy. Their books were closed. Shops were busy. Um, but yeah, I'm like trying to limit the amount of time that I'm just on my phone in general. But with technology like iPad, like I bought an iPad and learned how to use it. I don't enjoy drawing on it, but you know, it's fun to design. It's great for t-shirts and other kinds of designs like stickers and things like that. And we have a business. We have Tattoo Dream that
Yeah,
is like, it's like there's stamps that are ready to go that are all on there. And that was a fun project to do with Danny. Um, he's really good at video and photography, and
yeah,
we joined up, and he taught me a lot about that kind of stuff too, and helped me make the stamps, and now it's a cool platform where we have our friends that are on there, and so it's enjoyable. And I was like, and not only so I did all these designs, now I can, and it's just a line drawing for that, so I can now tattoo it, and it's not the same. It's like when I've painted flash, like I already did the design, so it's like I made it from start to finish, so now it's like I have a bunch of line drawings, which is cool because then it's like it's new to me and I can tattoo it. And so that was a fun way to get a whole new book of designs. And I don't have any like pens or anything, but I've tried like rotaries. I was so like I used coil machines. I use coil machines still, but I was hesitant to try anything new. I was hesitant to try any new black. Like now I've tried some new blacks to see what else is out there. I've been tattooing like 20 years, so I was like, sometimes it's fun to try something new, and not be so stuck in my ways where I can't just try like a friend's new bottle of black.
yeah.
Uh, like you know, like solid ink is great. That lining black is awesome. Um, Federico is super nice guy. He's a tattooer. I like supporting people like that. Same with Carlos Tron. He gave me some Sombrergay to try, and it's awesome. So it's fun to try some of the new products that are coming out that are made by tattooers that use the product as well. Um, it's I haven't tried or got into like the cartridges or anything. Um, it's kind of like I don't know. I'm nervous to just have to get used to something new. And like, I don't want to use a pen yet. I No offense to anyone that uses them. I think people make brilliant tattoos with them. It's insane what people do, but I feel like I don't want to be embarrassed by what I'm using. So, and until I feel differently, I'll keep on using what I've been using. I have a bunch of coil machines. I have a couple rotaries that I like, ease my way into, and we'll see how I feel in another 5 years. But for now, just I'm gonna stick
That's
with what I'm doing.
that's how it is, and that's it. Yeah, I mean, if you have your formula and it works, of course it is working, because I mean it's under the eyes of everyone. So why should you? You
Yeah.
want to talk about? You want to say like what tattoo dream is all about it, and how did it come up? Like for last question. Um, I followed you throughout the, when you started with that, with Tattoo Dream and stuff. I was curious, but if you want to say a couple of words about it, how did everything came up, and why did it?
Yeah. Well, so it kind of started like I was watching the way that a lot of people that I work with or that I was friends with had iPads and were just kind of showing me how they catalog work and how they could have a book on there, they could have reference on there, and so it's like you could put anything you want on there. So it seemed really like a useful tool. But like drawing on it is still like it's not like sketching. I have to sketch on like a real piece of paper, but I think cataloging and having a bunch of reference and things like all in one place that you can travel with, and it's portable. I thought was like a cool idea. And so people had asked me to do some projects that were like you know like a set of designs or digital books or things like that. And so it's like um, I put so much work into the work that I do that you know people make a lot of money off of other people, and so I was like, well, if I'm going to learn how to use an iPad and I'm going to put all the energy, you know, that I have to create designs into this, like I feel like there's a way for me to keep it for myself. Um, and so I talked to Danny Derrick, who's my bud. He he's he's a lot better with technology than I am. So I had an idea. I was like, well, what if we made stuff ourselves? And so one of the things was since he's great with cameras and photography and video, he um he was going to teach like a seminar, and that was another thing too, because we're kind of just coming out of the pandemic, and I was asked to do some seminars for painting and things like that. And so because it was during the pandemic, people were doing a lot more online stuff. And so the same kind of thing, I was like, well, what if we just team up, and I have an idea for a class, and Danny had an idea for a class, and then we decided to like kind of go with uh, making it a little bit bigger of a company, and adding the Procreate brushes, and then adding some digital books and digital flash. And so and after we got all that stuff done, we just kept meeting, gave each other projects. We designed a bunch of different things to launch the company with, like daggers, hearts, girls, roses, stuff like that. And then we thought, well, why don't we include some of our friends that we love their work. And so not only make the company bigger and look stronger, we're able to give our friends a great percentage, and they're able to make money off the platform. So, and since we make money on our own on the platform, we don't. It's like it's cool that we can support our friends in that way too. And so, and everyone gets a check every month, and it's become a real cool thing. And we have a bunch of new stuff that's in the works, that's coming out. More artists that are joining, and so we just want to make sure that everything's quality, that that all the designs are good. That if you're gonna get a design from us that you can tattoo it no problem, and that's like something that's legible and readable, and something that's fun for people to do. So it's like it's for inspiration and for reference, and um you know it's not everyone can design or draw as well as the next person, but some people can
Yeah.
tattoo real clean, and they can use the design to make money for themselves and their family.
Happy to hear it's going well and it's growing, and you, you guys also having fun and making money out of like your design when sometimes they just copied and traced. So at least you guys make
Yeah,
money, So
yeah.
yeah. So all right, that was it for me. Thank you so much again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for always wanting to include me and your stuff, and it's been really great getting to know you over
Yeah,
these years. And I appreciate all the support, too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you.
and I also got I was fortunate enough to meet you in person, and like everybody previously told me, you're a very nice and kind person, man. Really.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
I heard the same about you too.
yeah.
So yeah,
It's funny for me. Sometimes it's surprising how someone that for me and for many people, it's it's a very reputable, it's a very, no, I don't want to say famous because that not really the word, but yeah, like very with high reputation tattooer. It's so humble like you, and like sometimes we expect another kind of people behind all this aura of,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's so nice, like Henning, for example, it's another example,
He's a
and
great example. I would definitely use Henning as a very extremely talented and humble and great person.
yeah, and it's a person really nice to be around with. So
Yes.
yeah, all right, we'll
Well,
talk soon, and
yeah, we'll talk soon. I'll get all the stuff over from the Sailor Jerry stuff to you soon, and it was good to see you. I love you, brother.
I love you too, Paul. Thank you so much. Have a nice one.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too. All right.